What's up guys, today we'll be going over Anarchy plus Mountaintop versus a 150 RPM grenade launcher with spike grenades and seeing which one does more DPS and more total damage output. There's a rumor that Anarchy plus Mountaintop is better than Swarm of the Raven or any of the 150 RPMs with spike. And I just want to see and break down the numbers if this is true or not and see what the difference actually is. So first, looking at Anarchy, there's a few ways to use this weapon. If you shoot once, you only hit 982. If you shoot twice, you then hit 1964 per tick of the lightning. And having 2 Anarchy on an enemy is the maximum damage you can get. If you shoot more than 2, it will still tick for 1964. You will only get increased damage because of the impact damage of the grenades. Then you can also put it on the ground, which once again, if you have 2 on the ground, does 1964. More than that, just increase the surface area of where it will affect and hit the enemy. So looking at the damage and damage per second of this on an enemy, shooting 2 and timing the entire time it's doing damage, most of the time it'll be hitting 1964. Then it also does impact damage, then explosion damage once they actually explode at the very end right there. So that took 10.517 seconds, and during that time we hit 41,030, so the DPS during those 10 seconds was 3,901, so that is the DPS you'll be doing with Anarchy while not actually doing anything with it. It's just like a passive DPS. Now the other part of the combo is Mountaintop with spike grenades, and shooting at the Ogre, it hits for a total of 5823 per shot. Now we're going to go ahead and test the rate of fire with Mountaintop, shooting off 10 shots, see how long that takes, and that will take roughly 6.1 seconds, so the Mountaintop DPS is 9,546, which is among the highest of all legendary weapons in the game that aren't power weapons. So now what you do is you shoot 2 Anarchy at an enemy, then pull up Mountaintop and do the rest of the DPS with Mountaintop while the passive Anarchy goes and keeps zapping the enemy, and that results in 13,447 DPS if you just combine the 2 previous numbers we tested. So that is the DPS of this combo. Now looking at the total reserves of this combo, Mountaintop holds 19 with no reserves, so by the time you run out Mountaintop, you will have done 155,850 total damage on Greg. Then after that, you have a lot of Anarchy left over, but this is just breaking down the combo, so once you run out Mountaintop, that is the damage you will have done. Now let's compare it to Swarm of the Raven, which is a 150 RPM grenade launcher with spike grenades. So look at the damage per shot on Greg, it hits for 5556, so a little bit less than Mountaintop per shot. Now testing the rate of fire, shooting off 10 shots, it's going to be very quick, much faster than Mountaintop at 3.7 seconds. So Swarm of the Raven DPS is 15,016, which is a little bit higher than the combo of Mountaintop and Anarchy. Now looking at the total reserves without any perks, it is 16 with Swarm of the Raven, which results in 88,896 total damage on Greg, which is a lot lower than the combo before. So putting all the numbers back up on screen, the DPS Swarm of the Raven wins out by almost 1.6 thousand, which is as expected. It is a 150 RPM grenade launcher with spike. Now looking at the total damage, the Anarchy plus Mountaintop combo does almost twice as much total damage output than Swarm. So both the Anarchy Mountaintop combo and Swarm of the Raven are both good in different situations. Swarm of the Raven with spikes or any 150 RPM with spikes is still going to be better for pure DPS, but the combo of Anarchy plus Mountaintop isn't too much worse for DPS, but a lot better for sustained damage, which makes sense because you're using 2 weapons at once. If the sustained damage wasn't higher, there would definitely be an issue there. So there's pros and cons of both of these setups. The Swarm of the Raven has really good DPS, but it's pretty much a burst DPS weapon. You will run out of ammo very, very quickly in almost like 6 seconds. Then compared to Anarchy plus Mountaintop, you're using 2 of your 3 weapons towards a DPS build, but you have really, really good sustained damage with this combo, and at the same time, pretty good DPS. If you use Swarm of the Raven or a different 150 RPM grenade launcher and the enemy you're shooting at doesn't die in your total reserves, there's no point having that crazy burst damage if you came and killed the Vayne, and that's where Anarchy plus Mountaintop will come in handy with slightly worse DPS but way better sustained damage. So for some of the raid bosses, especially low man, for example the new Crown of Sorrow boss, if you're 2-man, 3-man, or even if you don't have a full team of swarms or whatever, Anarchy plus Mountaintop will be better in that situation because if you're using Swarm, you might shoot off all 16, then the boss will still be alive, and you're just be sitting there doing nothing. And that's where a combo like this really comes in handy. So overall, the rumor of Anarchy plus Mountaintop having better DPS than Swarm of the Raven is just simply not true, but it's not bad and has really good sustained damage, so it's definitely usable in the right situation. Anyways, let me know if you've been using this combo or you just been sticking with a 150 RPM grenade launcher. Anyways, thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time.